So in high school, the principal was having a lot of trouble. In the girls' bathroom, the girls would put on their lipstick, they would check it out, and then they would kiss the mirror. And they were leaving all of these hundreds of lipstick stains on the mirror. That was causing a great deal of trouble for the cleanup crew. So the principal suggested all kinds of things and did all sorts of things, and for months and months and months, nothing changed the girls' behavior. And finally, the principal figured out what to do, and she instructed the janitor how to do this. Right? Then she got a girl representative from each class in the high school, and they all went into the bathroom. And the principal said, now for 6 months I've been telling you, not to kiss the mirrors because it's hard to clean up. Right? And just to show you how hard it is to clean up, right, the janitor is here and he's going to do it for you. So he took one of these long poles, that you use to clean windows. He stuck it in the toilet, he cleaned off, and there were no more kiss mirrors in the whole school.
What a clever principal. That is clever.
Let's take a little time then and ask God to see how things work. In the name of the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Now what Aristotle did to finish up with his analysis of Plato, he'd already taken care of the shadows in man as real things. This is a real activity of man. Man acts to abstract. He looks through all of the things that he can find in man. He pulls out what is essential. So he gets that central point around which all of these things change. In the case of man, it would be rational. That was what is specifically about man. Animal. That's what man belongs to. Man is one of the animals, but he is the one which is rational. Now, a whole bunch of people who are really into logic are very happy with this. They say, this is terrific. This is the way to go. This is how everything should work. Okay? And they're perfectly happy with what Aristotle has done. It clears up a lot of the errors of Plato. It leaves one thing unaccounted for. What is this one? What is the source of all of these things? Now Aristotle comes at it in a completely different way. He knows that analogies are erroneous. They may be true, but it's because of something else. So he looks into what else would we know about this one that is the source of everything. And he picks something very important. Motion. Motion is the characteristic of the world. Everything is moving. Plato didn't like that, so he tried to ignore it. Aristotle says that was his big mistake. He's missing the way that we learn about everything. For example, you don't even notice the rabbit on the side of where you're walking until it moves. So Aristotle says that exactly what Plato hated and tried to get away from is our way of learning about things. He says, look, if something moves, if you see a body move, did it move by itself? No. It's going to have some other movement. Okay? And that's going to require another mover, and that's going to require another mover. And no matter how many we have in between, even if you can't keep track of each one of them, you know that since everything requires a mover, there must be a first one. And as Aristotle points out, if there isn't a first one, then there wouldn't be a second one, and there wouldn't be a third one, and there wouldn't be whichever one you're looking at. Whichever billionth mover you're looking at is going to depend upon a first. So from the principal characteristic of everything we see around us, which remember is real, these are all real things, he gets to a real first mover. A first mover that sets the rest in motion, but itself is not set in motion. The last thing we were talking about in the first session this morning was reverence. And Aristotle was overcome by reverence for this mover that is so completely active, it doesn't need a mover. In fact, he spent about 2 weeks in bed, and we just sort of overcome in awe at how different this being was. This unmoved mover is a perfectly active being. In fact, he also refers to the one as the pure act. And it is act that connects all of these things. The pure act activates some others, which activate others, and there's activity throughout. And the whole thing is real. There aren't any illusory things here. There is no gap. Plato was working with a false problem. And that was the main reason he couldn't come up with a real solution. But Aristotle's solution provides us with something we can keep track of. You keep track of the action, you keep track of the motion, you keep track of the change. And you notice changes don't come from nowhere. Very neat philosophical principle. Out of nothing comes nothing. If you got something, it had to come from something. Very simple stuff. It doesn't require a lot of propping up the way Plato's system required. And it saves everything in Plato. There isn't anything true in Plato which Aristotle leaves out. So it is a synthesis. It grabs hold of everything true and good and beautiful, and it puts it together in a way that everything fits. So once Aristotle has done this, he now says we've got a unified world, we've got direct activity flowing from the pure act. The pure act is one, the pure act is true, the pure act is good, the pure act is beautiful. And he's able to say more about these things than Plato could ever say, because Plato was weighted down by the mistakes of his system. And we're still trying to solve that third man problem. Aristotle's free of that, and he's able to develop in his book called Metaphysics. In physics, you study motion. Motion shows you that there is an unmoved mover. After physics, you deal with the unmoved mover. And he's able to say many more things about God, things that make more sense, things that all fit together very neatly. So from this thumbnail sketch, you can see that what Aristotle does is to make all of this stuff more accessible. more tied to everyday motions that we see around us and that we know are incomplete. But they point to the act which is pure, the act which has no limitations, the act which is the source of all the others. Anything about that?
Please correct me. I'm just suggesting that Plato was talking about ideas that were not in the world phenomenologically. And Aristotle talked about phenomena. So what he's really talking about here is function. And when you make this connection of function, like I look at how you're functioning, when I start to relate to that, then I'm in a relationship with a phenomenon. And then also, I think I get that Socratic sense that I'm moving toward the one God. I mean, a sense of that I'm becoming more me. I'm almost living in an exciting world. And so it's very difficult to do this because the dominant people have their agenda and they'll attack you or just. Am I target about function and motion are the same?
Definitely.
And when you do this, then you're relating to it.
Yeah.
And then.
Right. And you see, it's just as you say, that makes everything more exciting. You're not dealing with illusions. You're not fooling yourself when you turn to your neighbor. Your neighbor is really there. You can interact with this person. You don't have to climb a mountain, be a hermit, see, and just think big thoughts because the rest is a waste of time with illusion. What Aristotle is pointing out is your neighbor is real. You are real. The two of you can interact. In fact, Aristotle says something beautiful about that. He says there is no man so stupid that I cannot learn something from him. And there is no man so wise that I can't teach him something. This is a realistic way of going at it. And as you dwell upon even these very simple things that we have reviewed, you begin to see, wow, things really fit together pretty well here. And now, everything that Plato is saying about, yes, indeed, we want to be at one with the one, and climbing the ladder, now the climbing is a kind of act. And it is by our act that we unite with the main act. If it's kind of hot later on in the day, and you get a cup of cold water, the activity of the cold water, the activity of cooling you off, this is all reminiscent of pointing toward the pure act. It is a way to get there. You can cool your throat, you can refresh yourself so that you can get on with your activity of being one with the pure act. And you can enjoy the cup of cold water. You see how Aristotle puts more things together. That's a sense in which it is a synthesis. So he provides a system which is very extensive. It includes, we could mark it like this, everything that Plato did. But then he invents a whole bunch of other things that Plato didn't know about or didn't hear about. So Aristotle extends all that stuff and builds onto it. And another mark of it being a true synthesis is that if you discover some details over here, they fit. If you take something that Aristotle was working on into a further dimension that Aristotle didn't think about, it fits. That's how you can identify a synthesis. It welcomes everything. What is true.